Welcome to the 𝗩𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗏 presents a campy imagination. Happy Pride Month, everyone! So, for the next few weeks for the month of June 2020, I will be having special guests on the show in this LGBTQ+ POC Creative Leader Series. So let's get down to business.
Restricted. Under 17 requires accompanying pill to adult party.
Our first guest is a recording artist, model, and performer whose story is inspiring. New York Fashion Week shows and recording successful singles. You can find his music on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and the list goes on. Please welcome to the show, Derrick Cobb. Thank you for being here, Derrick. So let's get right to it. What was one of your biggest obstacles as an openly gay man of color in the music and fashion industry?
People really don't support you. Like, people really, and I've learned that, right? There are people in my life who truly, genuinely have my best interests at heart. But at the same time, and every entertainer, artist goes through this where, they watch you or pay attention hoping that you'll kind of fail, because the second something goes wrong, they like to build up because they are waiting for the opportunity to claw you down from the scene.
They want you to fail.
Doja Cat goes from she has the #1 record, and then a week later, cancel her. I told you she was bullshit. It's like, what, whoa. It's just so extreme. So extreme. Even with all the people protesting, I really just hope that it's from the purest intentions. I kind of feel like white artists who are out here on the internet like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter. I'm like, you're saying that because in a couple of weeks you'll be appropriating our culture with some new song or some that, right? All the white gay boys, that you want to date a black guy because it's the trend right now. So you want to stand up just to get some BBC or whatever the fuck. And
or be a black girl. Some of them want to be a black girl.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I just really hope that you guys are doing it for all the right reasons. You know what I mean? That's my whole thing. And like I said before, the grand gesture will always be you doing the right thing without the public seeing. That means in front of your friends, in front of your colleagues, in front of your family members, that you're checking them when they do racist shit. See, so many obstacles, so little time to discuss them. If I had to narrow it down, I would say as far as music is concerned, in the beginning, a lot of producers were very skeptical of me being openly gay, and trying to work on my records. That was always kind of hurtful, because I remember, back then, me and my friend Kenny, we were in a boy group with this other boy named John. But we wanted to be our generation version of BBD, or the new school male version of TLC with two singers and a rapper. That was kind of our thing, right? We wanted to do that. And I remember getting kicked out because they thought I was too flamboyant, or my dance style was too feminine.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Well, too bad for them, because now
yes, too bad for them.
Okay, but it was really hurtful. But even as I just started to just maneuver through the industry and do things, people were always kind of afraid of that, just because they weren't sure how the public was going to respond to it. And I think that what that does ultimately is that it makes you really want to prove yourself, so at the same time, it's kind of like a little blessing in disguise, because what starts to happen is you start to outwork your peers, and the next thing you know, you're looking behind you because you're surpassing them in a way that they never thought. Or everyone kind of just was like, oh yeah, it's a phase, take it over it. Or my favorite thing is, just be a backup dancer. Just be a backup dancer. Yeah, just be a backup dancer. I don't want to do that.
No, you're the star.
And not that. I just want to be a musician. That's my dream. I want to be a singer and songwriter. That's one of my biggest dreams. I dreamed of this since I was a little boy. So I think that it's more so that people don't really that's the good and the bad thing about being an artist, is because you see it before the world sees it. You just have to paint the picture now so it's clear for everybody. That's the difficult part. I tell people all the time, being an artist, like the creative stuff, you know, you're stylish. You get it. Like that's not hard. The ideas of that's not hard. It's hard to break it. It's hard to take something so great and so precious and simplify it for people to understand. That's what's hard.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, it is because being a creative, it's all an internal process. Like, how do we express it so that people understand?
Right.
It's communication language. You know, especially for people who aren't so eloquent and deep. You know, like they won't understand the lyrics as you wrote it.
Yeah, for sure. And then too, as far as the fashion industry, like I said, I will 100% honestly say that I've never been discriminated against because of my sexual orientation, but I've definitely been discriminated against because of my race. You know?
Oh yeah, of course.
Like I got my first contract for I was in 2011. So in the beginning, the way and this is how sneaky certain agents are, or agencies, I should say, because they just start by saying, "Oh my gosh, like we have like 6 shoots for you to do this week." You're like, "Oh my gosh, 6 shoots," in your mind, like, "Oh my god, these are 6 different campaigns, 6 different ads," and the whole time you're just test shooting, right? They just want to see how the clothes fit on the human body for the first time. They had no intention on putting you in the catalog. They had no intention on putting you on the ad. They had no intention. And at the time, I got my first contract. I was living in a homeless youth shelter, so I needed the money. Like, I needed that money because I was getting ready to, like, you know, transition. Like, my time was coming up for me to leave and, like, find my own apartment. So, at the time, you know, someone says, "Hey, sign this piece of paper and here's a check for $7,000 and you can go and, like, do what you need to do." You're not going to say no to that. You know what I mean? And then over time, you start to see things. So, there were ads and, you know, I would get to the castings, book the job, quote unquote, do the test shoot, campaign runs, I'm not in it. But we'll send you a picture for your portfolio. This is great for you. Like it was a lot of that for a long time. And one of my white male model friends, he was the one who kind of pointed it out to me. He's like, "Hey, I was in the office and I'm looking over the budget sheet, and you know, and I was with the agency that I was with at the time. I was with them longer than he was. And he's like, "Why are you getting paid less than most of us here? And we're sort of new." And then I was like, okay. And that's how it was like kind of brought to my attention. I will say though, at the same time, you know this firsthand, fashion is more political, I think, than we're just gonna change the direction. Like, you hear that a lot. And I'm actually like in a legal battle with an agency now.
Ooh, are you allowed to spill the tea, or you're not gonna mention?
I can't give the details.
Probably
I will say this: the agency's here in Los Angeles. When they got word that I was moving out to LA, or I was gonna spend more time on the West Coast, you know, they reached out to me first, wanting to buy me out of the contract I was with the agency I was with in New York, to, you know, help me transition over here. So, you know, I get here and I do a couple of test shoots for the board and the website, and all of a sudden they're sending out all this work and I'm replying to the emails and I'm not getting a response. So one day I finally emailed and I was like, "Hey, like, what are the rules for getting bugs?"
Yeah.
Like what is that like? Because last you guys told me this is going to be based on talent. They said to me that they wanted me because my portfolio was extensive and diverse.
Okay.
That I could pull urban, I could do high end, I could do runway. That they were just like, "Oh my god, that you're what we like." That was their whole pitch to me to get me to sign with them.
Right. Yeah.
So
it's like a false hope.
Right. So if we're basing this on merit and resume and more experience, why am I getting 1 or 2 jobs and then that's it? There's like nothing else.
Yeah.
So me and the director had a couple of words.
But you've also worked on independent with independent designers and projects.
Yeah.
Where it's not like you're not tied in to an agency where, I don't know if you've had that experience where they say, oh, you can't work with this. And some agencies do say, oh, you can't work with this design. You can't do that. Like they like flat out tell you that you can only do projects we book for you.
Yeah, I was told that, but I didn't listen. That's another thing that they probably hated. I was very resilient in that way. My thing is that you're not going to book me a job. If someone's giving me a job, I'm not. If someone wants you and gives you $200 right now, you're not going to say no.
Oh yeah, I like that. At what point in life did you realize music, dancing, and fashion was the path you were going to take?
Oh my God. So I remember being in high school. And no, I was in middle school at the time. I think I was in like the 8th or 9th grade. But this girl that we knew, she was living in the Bronx. Her name was 𝗍𝗢𝗡𝗧𝗏𝗡𝗏. She was a dancer, right? And we saw, like, she went to our high school. She was like well known at LaGuardia. Like, she was that person,
Popular. She was popular.
Very popular. She was pretty.
Yeah.
Gorgeous Latin girl. Always had like these big, beautiful brown knots. Like her hair was always like this long, kinky, curly black hair, but she would always just like throw it in a bun. Like, and it was so funny because like a lot of the other girls were prima ballerinas, and she was primarily more of a hip hop dancer. So all the other girls wore leotards, and she would take. You had to do ballet and jazz and modern. It's in the curriculum. Mm-hmm. But she would wear her sweatpants and a cut-up T-shirt. Like she was just such a street girl about it. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, she was dancing circles around these girls who've been training their whole lives. You know, we didn't start getting professional training in dance until we got to high school and college because our parents couldn't afford it growing up. You know what I mean? So a lot of color artists, in that way, they start, that side of their careers a little later in life than our Caucasian counterparts, just based on economic privileges. But when I just remember like her not being in school for a couple weeks and then coming back, and then like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, like Danielle's in like she's the lead girl on the Marion's Touch video." So I remember like we like ran to the cafeteria and we're like, "Oh my gosh." And like they played it on the screen, like this like TV, and that's when it really hit me for the first time. Like, okay, like I think for my entire class, especially because Danielle was a senior at the time, so she was older than us. So she's one of the kids that because we're from the street, so she's one of the kids that we looked up to. It's like, oh my gosh, like this girl is like she's like us. She's like she doesn't come from Juilliard training, and she doesn't do private. Like she comes like we all come from Brooklyn, like we come from the streets. We street kids.
Yes.
And so I think for us that's when it really kind of registered like, okay, like this could be very serious. Like we take this seriously. Like this could really be a thing. And the next thing 6 months later she doesn't come to her high school graduation because she's touring with Janet Jackson. And then she booked the Beyonce, and it's like so you start to really see that firsthand. And I think at that moment I knew like, okay, like if I was serious about it, I'm definitely gonna do this.
That's good. It really shows you that it takes one voice to inspire like a whole team.
It does,
and of like-minded individuals too.
It does,
and it helps and she was a person of color too.
She's Puerto Rican. She had a black boyfriend. Yeah. She lived in the Bronx. Took the train every day. Like she was just like she was that kind of girl. A lot of the kids at LaGuardia at that time, I will say, were. They kind of they came from that background of like being exposed to that that was the first time that I ever especially as a kid from Brooklyn, like that was the first time I felt like there was a space for me.
Do you think that despite the progress the music industry has made, that there is enough representation for gay and black recording artists?
When you have an artist as dynamic as 𝗏𝗏𝗏, right? And an artist who I think is a great artist, Sam Smith, per se, why can Sam Smith chart? And why does it take 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 longer to chart? Like, that should say something. 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏's a better singer. He's more creative. He has better live performances.
Wow.
So what's the problem? Like I'm confused, right? This is the industry of talent. This is about merit, work ethic, whatever. Not to say that Sam Smith, I think he's a great artist. We'll never take that away from him. I think he is an amazing singer. His voice is to die for. The boy can sing his fucking face off. Um, ultimately, you once again, even though there's this, he was one of the first artists since maybe Adam Lambert, or even far back. Let's say Freddie Mercury and Queen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Who really charted, the pop charts. But once again, you're doing that as a white male artist, appropriating black music.
I was just about to say that all those people are, all those men, gay men are white, and it's not like that's not that much of a diverse. Well, Elton John is also white, but he's super flamboyant, which I think he's different from all the other.
Yeah, but Elton John was also working with artists like TLC, Mary J. Blige, Tony Braxton. Like, he was working with black artists to show a sense of alliance. He wasn't removing himself from the movement. Gay isn't a lifestyle; it's a sexual orientation, right? So when people don't understand that, when you go home, you have to deal with all those feelings and emotions, physically, sexually, mentally, that comes with that. And that's the part that people really don't understand. That's not an easy thing to do.
When I was talking to Derrick about race and racism specifically within the LGBTQ plus communities and racism for a black gay man, I also wanted to ask him about his individual process as a recording artist. Can you tell us a little bit about your process as a recording artist? What does that involve? What does that day look like for you? And what is the process like?
Or just the process in general?
That's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that. I'll start by saying this. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to doing a song or putting together an idea. Sometimes it's pre-planned, sometimes it just happens. But for me, on average, I really like to go into the studio and just kind of sit down with the producer and my writing partner, and just spark up a conversation for about a good 20 or 30 minutes before we set up a session, because I kind of want the producer to really make sure that they are putting together the sounds and the ideas that I have from such a personal place. I think that having that sense of connection to the musicians that I work with really helps with fine-tuning my sound and giving me ultimately a record or songs that I'm very, very proud of. Because it's created for you. So yes, as much as I love being on trend and I always want to be on the new sound and like the new shit, that's such a big part of who I am. But to separate myself from other artists, it has to have that personal thing. And the writer and the producer can only get that from you if they know what's going on in your life, if they know how you feel at that moment. So it's kind of like a little therapy session for everyone, really. Yeah. To just vent and create. And then we'll put together a blueprint of, a track. I'll come home. Usually between 2 and 3 a.m., I'll jump out of bed and be like, oh my gosh, I got a song idea, and start writing down the lyrics.
Yes, we like that.
And start writing down my lyrics, and then I go back. The third day is when I record the song.
So there's like a wait period.
For me, some artists go in and they record the same day. Yeah. That's very scary for me.
Yeah.
Because I like to be perfect, but
yes.
No, it's honestly it's easier for me to be practiced and rehearsed before recording. I think that most artists deem the studio like their safe space. This is the place where you can make all the mistakes because they'll get edited out, obviously, right? But for me, I kind of want to wow everyone. I want everyone to be really happy, and I will say more so now than ever. The spaces that I've been recording in here in LA. So for me, like, if I could be around someone or work with someone who I think is more talented than me, who's sharper with the pen, who has better concept for lyrics and song ideas, it makes me better. So bringing in this third person, Esther, has been such a blessing because she's a great songwriter. So I've just been learning so much from her, from the new slang to how to conjure metaphors, how to take melodies from an old song without getting in trouble legally.
Yes.
You know, like all these things that I didn't know before, and that's it's been so fun. You know, even with the single that I have out, working with my two friends who rap, you know, I was like watching them do this part, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta redo my part. Hold on. You learn it so.
Do you just think about the words, or you do imagine the sound as well too? You know, because there's a difference for people who don't know about music between lyrics and sound.
Yeah. I personally think about the melody first. I think once I get a solid melody, the words kind of, to be honest with you, they kind of fit themselves, and they kind of just fit. They just kind of place themselves if you have a solid melody. If you have a solid idea and the melody is right, the words kind of just fit in. You know, it kind of just fits in. So I definitely worry about how it's gonna sound more so than the writing the lyric down physically.
Is it important for you or for a artist to have both an ego in a sense where the different levels of ego, you know, there's confidence, and then sometimes you just feel like you are the queen of the room, the king of the room. As an artist, like, you feel like you need both, like vulnerability and confidence.
I mean, yeah, you need both for sure. I personally kind of feel like there is I have moments, you know, where I'm like super confident in myself, and then times where I'm not super confident in myself. And I've learned creatively, honestly, it helps to be honest about that, you know, you know, I've been backstage at shows and been like, oh my gosh, like I don't think I can do this, and I like burst out into tears.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean.
You know, so I'm just like, I have all these self-doubts, and there are times where I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, I'm about to kill it. Let's do it. Like, come on. Like, let's get on. Can I go already? Can I go first? Come on. I want to just get on stage, you know, like, so there's definitely both. It is important to have a balance, because ultimately you want to make sure that you connect with your audience, I think. I mean, me personally, I don't really mind. Some of my favorite artists are very cocky. Nicki Minaj, for example, like, she's very like unapologetically cocky and doesn't care.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? But her talent, she's so talented, and her music is so amazing. It's always great. Like, what she does is unmatched. So, you know, and then you have artists like, you know, Gaga or Beyonce, where they're so like, they walk, and as great as they are, they're so like, oh my gosh, I didn't know people were gonna like this. And gosh, and it's like, no, girl, you knew this is a fucking hit. Like, come on, you know. So I think it's
that might have a lot to do with their astrological signs. So before we wrap up, do you want to say anything to the community, to people aspiring to be like you? Any last words for us?
I always tell people, inspire to be yourself. Aspire to be who you are. You know, that's what makes us special. Like, no two people. That's the thing. Like, no two people are made to be alike, and, you know, your thing is just as special as anybody else's thing, you know? Aspire to understand that you deserve a fair opportunity in any industry, whether it's art, science, politics, you know, stockbroking, whatever. You deserve a fair chance to work your way to get to where you want to go. You deserve a fair chance to sit in the rooms with the decision makers and propel things forward. Like, you deserve that, you know. And also, too, what makes you a great artist is also supporting other artists.
Yes. It's like, not just about you.
Yeah, it's like it's so, trust me, the more I get into it, the more I realize it has really, like, I'm such a small part of it now. It really has nothing to do with me. It's not even it's not a gift. Being creative is not a selfish gift. You have to give it to the world. You have to put it out there and just let it go. You can't hoard it forever. You know, and with that being said, just be patient with yourself. Give yourself time to learn and grow. Study, train, work hard. Be persistent. Like, the thing is, not giving up is the key to anything. If you wanted to walk from New York to California, okay, it might take you 5 years to hike the country, right? But when you start walking, you immediately start making progress.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So other people, like, it's like you just can't give up. Like, it be seeming so long and so distant, but it's like, no, you can't give up. You really can't. You know, it. Like I said, I couldn't get anybody to record me or to do a record with me for the longest time, and now I have to turn down records. You know, or people are calling me saying, "Hey, you know, like, I want to be like the main producer."
And the journey that you take with the other people who are with you, that's also a beautiful process, because then you guys can all grow together. You know, it really depends on your outlook of what you want to do with your path.
You know, it's so funny you say that, because one of the producers that I'm signed to, her name is Ebony Smith, and she is in-house producer, engineer over at Atlantic Records, Warner Music in the New York and LA offices. I met Ebony 12 years ago. Right? So when we went to the Grammys this year, we both like had a moment. We were standing outside, like we were like trying to like get in line, like to go to our seats.
Wow.
And I remember thinking like, oh my fucking God, like, girl, I'm here with you.
Yes.
Of all the people,
Wow.
like, I'm here with you, you know, and I'm here with you because you're nominated for a Grammy and you're producing my album. Like, that was just, I met you when I was living on the street, and and she just got into NYU and could barely pay her rent. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
I'd be like, wow, like, this shit baffles me. It's like, you know, like, we be in the offices and we're the two black queer people running up and down the fucking hallways, screaming and dancing all over the place. You know, like.
Wow, that's really effective and powerful.
You know, but that comes with us loving and supporting each other, not stepping on each other's toes, being there for each other, creatively, emotionally. I feel like those are great things. I tell people all the time, when you see other people that are great, love them, be on them, learn from them. It's not about, they're not your competition.
Yes,
it's not about
say that again.
that. It's not. It's not a competition. Like, boy, I'd be like, oh my God, at every show I'm always like I like to go in the audience to watch the other artists before I go.
Oh, wow.
I'd be like, oh my gosh, she sounds so good. And the song was so great. I'd be so excited. I love concerts. I love shows. So I love to watch, even though I'll be performing, I love to like watch for a little bit. It's so fun.
Right. It's respect, you know, it's like for your industry, and you know, when you go into, sometimes people lose track of that. They're like, oh my God, I'm too busy to support the community or support my fellow peers. I'm writing a song. I don't have time for that. But you know, you can support other ways. Like how can you support them?
Support them by reposting and resharing. If you know, if you have an artist friend who has a song out, can you buy the song and stream it and then share it with your friends? You know, if someone has a clothing line, buy a piece. There's so many ways to do it. Repost them, reshare them. Tell others about them. You know what I mean? Highlight them on the Instagram posts, on your social media posts. Like those exactly. are such ways you can create. Or simply reach out and say, hey, you know, I don't have many followers, I don't know much or whatever, but how could I help assist you? You know, do you want me to like send an email blast to who I like? You know, just there's small things. I think that everyone thinks that support is monetary. They think, oh my God, like, I need to give you a lot of money. It's like, no, like this little things to really help propel a business or an artist is what you can do to really support.
That's great. Yeah, we wanted to hear that from you and from like-minded individuals.
I just wanna be with you forever and a day, holding you so close to me, and that is where you'll stay.